Why would someone speak about the CIA and British intelligence with this much distrust? Is it paranoia, or the consequence of a documented history of coups, covert operations, and political manipulation? Before judging his words, we need to examine what these institutions have actually done. Let's listen.
Know who you're dealing with. Look, if I tell you that there are poisonous or venomous snakes in a jungle, I'm not telling you to hate the snakes. I'm not telling you to not go into the jungle. I'm telling you to be aware of what's in there and be aware of what you're dealing with. That's all. That's all. See, their deception, in fact, their deception, in order for it to be dangerous, their deception relies upon your own self-deception when you lie to yourself that you're dealing with people who are just like you. Because you're not. You're not. They are not like you. They're not like you, and they're not going to change, and you're not going to change them. I think 400 years is long enough to know. I think 400 years is long enough to know that they're not going to change.
When we hear claims of vast government deception, the natural instinct is skepticism. But the question we have to answer is whether the documented historical record of British and American intelligence actually justifies that level of distrust. To find out, we are setting aside rumor and uncorroborated theory. We are looking exclusively at official declassified archives, judicial findings, and parliamentary inquiries. Our focus is strictly on the United States and the United Kingdom, specifically the CIA, MI5, MI6, and their respective militaries. Allegations involving other intelligence agencies, like Israel's Mossad, require their own specific evidentiary standards and are not part of this assessment. This is an objective audit. We are measuring the distance between the cover stories states tell the public and the reality found in their own declassified files. The strongest defense for extreme state action rests on national security. Governments argue they face immense global pressures, containing hostile ideologies during the Cold War or protecting critical supply lines, and must operate in the shadows to keep citizens safe. We can test that defense by examining a specific category of intervention, cases where the US or UK initiated conflict or regime change without a single preceding armed attack on their own soil. In 1953, the Anglo-American operation to remove and the Cook's S in Guatemala. The official US historical record, however, shows the CIA organized and trained a force to overthrow elected President Jacobo Arbenz, largely because his land reforms threatened the corporate interests of the United Fruit Company. In 1956, Egypt nationalized the Suez Canal, a severe strategic challenge but not an armed attack. Under the guise of a peacekeeping mission, Britain, France, and Israel signed the secret Severus Protocol, deliberately manufacturing a crisis as a pretext to invade and seize the canal. In these documented cases, democratic governments bypassed accountability by packaging commercial and strategic desires as absolute security necessities. This pattern of prioritizing strategic geography over human life extends to the Chagos Archipelago. Between 1965 and 1973, the UK forcibly deported the entire indigenous population of the islands to secure a military base for the United States. As recognized by the International Court of Justice, seen here, this was an unlawful decolonization. In 2003, the United States and the United Kingdom launched the invasion of Iraq. The public rationale centered on imminent threats from weapons of mass destruction, despite the fact that Iraq had not attacked either nation and weapons inspectors were still on the ground. These are the volumes of the UK's official Iraq inquiry, known as the Chilcot Report. While the inquiry did not issue a formal criminal ruling that the war was illegal, it concluded that military action was not a last resort. Peaceful diplomatic options had not been exhausted, and the threat was presented with unjustified certainty. Maintaining a rigorous audit means we must also draw clear lines where the evidence stops. Declassified memoranda confirm the CIA spent millions to covertly fund opposition media and destabilize the government of Chilean President Salvador Allende. However, while the United States created maximum political pressure, the currently cited historical record does not establish that Washington directly commanded the military forces that executed the 1973 coup. The historical record also reveals a second category of state action, situations where a genuine violent provocation did exist, but the government's response crossed legal and moral boundaries. During the 1952 Kenya emergency, the colonial administration faced real violence from the Mau Mau insurgency. Yet in 2013, the UK government officially admitted that its response included the systematic torture and severe ill-treatment of thousands of Kenyan detainees, who often had no proven links to the uprising. Following the devastating attacks of September 11th, the CIA established its secret detention and interrogation program. According to the exhaustive 2014 U.S. Senate intelligence study, the agency not only engaged in systemic abuse of detainees, but actively misled congressional oversight bodies about the severity and effectiveness of its methods. A severe threat explains a state's urgency, but it does not provide a legal right to utilize collective punishment or institutionalize torture. The evidence leaves us with a clear pattern. Across decades, these governments have consistently applied the language of national security to non-military disputes, used covert action to dodge democratic oversight, and relied on secrecy to delay public accountability. Modern international law provides a strict test for these actions. Article 2.4 of the UN Charter protects a sovereign state's political independence, while Article 51 explicitly reserves the use of unilateral military force for one narrow circumstance: self-defense against an active armed attack. The moral standard is equally rigid. Overthrowing elected governments to secure oil, coordinating secret attacks to manufacture pretexts for war, displacing entire island populations, and torturing prisoners are indefensible acts. The consequences of these decisions are permanent. The Chagos coastline remains largely empty of its native population, a quiet result of strategic overreach. The claim that Western intelligence and military institutions operate with unchecked deception is not a baseless theory. It is a rational suspicion grounded in documented history. We don't have to believe every wild allegation on the internet, but the proven record demands that we never grant state power the benefit of the doubt without hard evidence.
If you value evidence over tribalism, subscribe to Hard-Hitting News 365. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.